Hi everyone, my name is Savneet Singh and I'm PAR's CEO. PAR has one of the most unique and interesting entrepreneurial stories of our time. PAR was founded in 1968, originally, if you'd believe it, as a defense contractor, creating IT services for the Department of Defense. PAR stands for Pattern Analysis Recognition. And the idea was that the PAR team could use data to help the US government find threats. The business ran that way for about 10 years, and then in 1978, at the request of one of our founders, Charlie Constantino's mother, PAR built the first point-of-sale terminal. That terminal was basically to replace a cash register and help automate the operations of a restaurant. And when they invented it in 1978, they had this idea that maybe they could sell this through some of the McDonald's stores. Little do they know that in 1980, McDonald's would go and approve that PAR device and really make it its exclusive product for the next 2 years. And so PAR went from this small little defense contractor in upstate New York to a massive global company, capping off with an IPO in 1982. For the next decade, PAR's business took off. It ended up opening offices in dozens of countries, hiring thousands of employees, all while growing from this footprint in upstate New York, selling great hardware and services, which we used to call point-of-sale systems. But unfortunately, the next 20, 25 years, PAR sort of got stuck in the doldrums. And it was a result of our customers changing their buying behaviors from buying hardware to buying software. Over time, PAR's business got stuck as that hardware and services company. And so we went from the largest company, the fastest growing company in the industry, to almost the smallest, where we would be tagged along to a software sale. And so if you were a restaurant organization, you were coming in, picking a software product, and then attaching PAR's hardware and services. And so we had a good business, but we didn't have a great business. And to rectify that, 20, 25 years later, PAR went out and made an acquisition for a product called Brink. Brink at the time was a very small product. It was installed in about 300 stores around the world, around the United States, 8 or 9 people. But what PAR saw and what Brink saw was that restaurants were starting to change. Restaurants were going from being in-store operations to digital operations. They were feeling the same digital push that every other industry had experienced, but restaurants were getting it later. And the idea was, could we take PAR's amazing footprint, amazing service, combine it with Brink software, and tackle this QSR market that we've been so great at servicing. Fast forward 5 years after the acquisition in 2018 or 19, the business grew from being in 300 stores to almost 9,000. It exploded under PAR's leadership. To create that intense change that we needed to take on this big challenge, we said, hey, we're gonna pick 3 values and only 3 values. And so the values that we subscribe to were relatively simple. The first was speed. I like to say we look for people who don't wait for the elevator. Who are the people that run up the stairs to go tackle that problem as opposed to waiting for it to come to them? Or oftentimes, who are the people who don't wait for the next day to send that email or make that call? In the world of technology, speed always wins. And it's speed both internally and externally that really matters. I tend to say, slowness anywhere in an organization is an excuse for slowness everywhere. Our second value is ownership. I like to say we look for owners, not renters. When you rent a car, you treat it very differently than when you own a car. When you get a hotel room, you treat that very differently than you treat your house. And PAR should be no different. We look for people who actually care about this like it's their own business. And that ownership should manifest in how not only you treat our customers, but us internally. If someone says, hey, can you help me with this problem, or do you know the solution? Do you just push them to the next person, or do you push them to the next person and follow up the next day and say, hey, did you get what you needed? Those are the type of people we look for. And the third value we have is winning effing matters. Think of this as impact. And oftentimes, what you'll find is that there are certain organizations that optimize for output. A customer has a problem and someone says, hey, I did these 50 things to solve that problem. And that's great they did those 50 things, but the question really is the customer happy? And so we look for people who have great speed, great accountability, but also realize that the scoreboard matters. And on these cultural values, we've been able to transform our company from a very small manufacturing company in upstate New York to hopefully one of the largest and most successful tech companies in the world. And that ambition, I think, is rooted in the reality that if we treat our people really well, take conscious of all stakeholders, from our shareholders to our suppliers, and constantly keep moving faster and faster than our competition, we should always end up one step ahead.